OECS countries are one step closer to defining the sustainable land management projects that will help them better cope with the impacts of climate change. The OECS Commission, with funding from the European Union, has undertaken an exercise which seeks to identify, select and develop land management projects for implementation under a €9 million program which is to take effect from July 2015. We have details in this report.
OECS land management and climate change agencies have until 2018 to implement climate change projects funded by the European Union under a Global Climate Change Alliance program. The focus of the €10 million project is climate change adaptation and sustainable land management. A team of consultants headed by the University of the West Indies have since September 2014 been conducting research projects in the OECS member states to determine what areas need critical attention. The consultants presented their findings in a series of presentations at a workshop in St. Lucia on December 16th.
And so the various presentations and discussions would seek to add value and validate the findings and recommendations both on the physical adaptation measures as well as on the institutional, technical, human capacity and awareness findings and recommendations.
Chamberlain Emmanuel of the OECS Commission says this preliminary phase of the project, called the Gap Analysis, is expected to identify a roadmap for a €9 million project, which should begin in September next year but must be completed by the end of 2018.
This exercise, this gap analysis, is the one that will help us, guide us into programming that €9 million. So I'm emphasizing that so that it is the outcome of this that will determine how the money gets used.
The OECS Commission has urged the prudent but expeditious implementation of the project as the grant funds have to be used within the time period stipulated. Bentley Brown, the director of the Social Sustainable Development Division, says the OECS needs to clearly demonstrate that in a tough period for funding, it has the capacity to put donor funds into efficient and effective use.
This is a good opportunity we have to use the fund that we have under this project to say, yes, we have absorptive capacity. Yes, we know where we need to spend the money, and we are going to direct the monies into the areas where we could get maximum benefit. Help us with our sustainable land management and adaptation programs.
Among the areas identified by the consultants for attention were outdated legislation, insufficient institutional strength, lack of enforcement, improper inadequate land use planning, unmonitored developments and poor building practices. Also identified were deforestation, poor agricultural practices and the absence of a holistic approach to sustainable land management.